Good morning, class. Today we are going to study first chapter in chemistry, that is matter in our surroundings. Now, what is matter? Everything which we see around yourself in the universe. Okay, either it is the air we breathe, the food we eat, stones, clouds, stars, plants, and animals. Even a small drop of water or a particle of sand. They all are composed of matter. In other words, what we can say is that matter is anything which occupies space and has mass. Classification of matter. Earlier Indian philosophers classified the matter in the form of five basic elements such as earth, air, fire, sky, and water, and they termed it as Panch Tattva. On the basis of physical state of matter, on the basis of physical state, matter is classified as solid, liquid, and gaseous. On the basis of chemical composition, matter is classified as pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances may be elements or compounds. Mixtures may be homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture. Now next is physical nature of matter. Physical nature of matter, it comprises of four different characteristics of matter. The first characteristic is matter is made up of tiny particles. The particles of matter have space between them. The particles of matter are continuously moving. The particles of matter attract each other. We are going to justify all these 4 points with experiments. Okay, the first one is matter is made up of tiny particles. When activity is given, you have to dissolve 2-3 crystals of potassium permanganate in 100 ml of water in a beaker. Take 10 ml of this solution and dissolve in 100 ml of water. Take 10 ml of further solution and dissolve in 100 ml of water. Repeat this process 5-6 times. This shows that few crystals of potassium permanganate can color a large volume of water because there are millions of tiny particles in each crystal. Okay, as you can see here, first we have to prepare a solution of KMnO4, potassium permanganate. The solution is dark purple in color. Now we have to take 10 ml of this solution and again mixed in 100 ml of water. And intensity of the color changes. Okay, it is very clearly visible. Then again we have to take 10 ml of this solution and further mix in 100 ml of water. We need to repeat these steps 5-6 times, but after repetition of these steps 5-6 times also, we can see that the water is having some pinkish tinge. Okay, the color of the solution is pink. Why is it possible? Because even a small like KMnO4 contains tiny particle, as it is a solid, as it is a matter which is in solid state, so it is capable of giving solution color to the solution. Okay, so this indicates that matter is made up of tiny particles. Now next is matter have spaces between them. In this activity, what we have to do, we have to take some water in a beaker and note its level. Dissolve some salt or sugar in it with the help of glass rod. The salt dissolves in water, but the level of water does not change. This is because the particle of salt get into the space between the particle of water. Okay. So simply we need to take a beaker. We need to fill some water in it. Suppose we are taking 50 ml of water in the beaker. Mark the level 50 ml. Then add 1 spoon of salt to it. Try dissolving it with the help of glass rod. After dissolving it, again note the level of water. When we note the level of water, we observe the level of water to be as 50 ml only. Okay. Why is it possible? Because matter have spaces between them. The liquid state of matter, it is having spaces between them in which the crystals of salt have been, they occupy that space. So after occupying that space, actually the level of water has not risen. Okay, they have just occupied the space present between the liquid particles. Next, particle of matter are continuously moving. In this activity, we have to take some water in a beaker, put a drop of blue or red ink slowly along the sides of the beaker. Leave it undisturbed for few hours. The ink spreads evenly throughout the water due to the movement of particles of water and ink. The intermixing of two or more different types of matter on their own is called as diffusion. This practical or this experiment of water and putting a drop of ink in it, we are doing in a liquid solution, okay, or in a liquid state. So what we actually have to do, we have to take a beaker, put a drop of ink in it. Then what will happen? That drop of ink will slowly diffuse throughout the water. Okay. Now in the next figure, what you can see, a child is lighting a agarbatti or an incense stick. Okay. Then as it is being lit on one corner of the room, after few minutes, we can smell it in the other corner of the room also. Why is it possible? Because gaseous molecules are continuously moving. Due to the movement of these gaseous molecules, the smell of incense sticks can be, or it travels from one place to another. Okay, this both experiment prove that particles of matter are continuously moving. Now particle of matter attract each other. What we have to do, we have to take an iron nail, a piece of chalk, and a rubber band. Try breaking them by hammering, cutting, or stretching. It is more easier to break the chalk, less easier to break the rubber band, and difficult to break the iron nail. This is because the particle of iron nail are held together with greater force than the rubber band or a chalk. Okay. So in this, what we have to do, we have to take three solid substances in which the intermolecular forces of attraction are different. Okay. When we consider an iron nail, so in iron nail, despite of solid, the particles are compactly packed with each other. So it is very difficult to break an iron nail. If we take an example of chalk, here the particles are compactly packed, but still it is like less compact in comparison to an iron nail. So it is easier to break a chalk. What about a rubber band? In rubber band, the particles are packed in such a way that they can be stretched easily. Okay, it's not easier to break the particles. Okay. Now next, states of matter. There are three states of matter. What we have learned according to our previous knowledge, that is solid, liquid, and gas. But in this chapter, we are going to learn that there are two more states of matter, that is plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate. So first, we will deal with the three states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Okay. Now properties of states of matter. First property which we are dealing is volume. Solids have definite volume, liquids have definite volume but no definite shape. Gaseous, they have no definite volume and no definite shape. Next is shape. Solids have definite shape, liquids, they do not have definite shape. They occupy the shape of the container or they take the shape of the container. Gaseous, they also do not have definite shape. Density. Solids, density is high, liquids, it is moderate, and gaseous, it is low. Okay, so what is density? Density is actually mass per unit volume. That density of solids is very high. Diffusion. What is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of particles from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Solids can diffuse easily into liquids. In liquids, the diffusion rate is higher than solids, and gaseous, they are highly diffusible. Rigidity or fluidity. Rigidity means how rigid a substance is, how compact a substance is. Okay. Solids are the most rigid substances and they cannot flow. Liquids, they are less rigid and can flow easily. Gases, they are not at all rigid and they can flow easily. Kinetic energy. Okay. It is the energy which is possessed by molecules. Solids, they have least kinetic energy. Liquids, they have higher kinetic energy than solids. And gaseous, they have maximum kinetic energy. Next, interparticle space. Solids, they have least. Liquids, they have lesser. And gas, they have more than others. Interparticle force of attraction. In solids, they are very strong. In liquids, they are less strong. In gas, they are weak. Intermolecular force. Strong enough to hold a constituent particles in fixed position. In solids, the intermolecular forces are that much strong enough to hold a constituent particles in fixed position. In liquids, the force are strong enough to hold a constituent particles in bulk but not in fixed positions. Okay. In gas, the intermolecular force of attraction is extremely low. So the constituent particles are free to move in continuous random motion. And lastly, that is arrangement of molecules. In solid, the molecules are arranged in definite pattern and definite geometry. They are actually form a crystal lattice structure in which the molecules are arranged. Okay. In liquids, the molecules are packed in weak in comparison to solids and shape is not fixed. In gases, the arrangement of molecule is they are packed very poorly so that they fill the container and they do not have definite shape. With all these properties, what we conclude that gases are highly compressible, solids are rigid, and liquids they are fluid. They can flow easily and they occupy the shape of the container. Now, next very important thing in this chapter is interconversion of states of matter. What is interconversion of states of matter? The phenomena of change of one state of matter to another state and then back to the original state is called as interconversion of states of matter. Means one state can easily convert it into another state and come back to its original state. Okay? This process does not bring any change in mass or chemical composition. All substances cannot be changed from one state to another. In this interconversion of states of matter, there are basically two important properties which are playing part, okay, which are playing an important role. The first one is temperature and the second one is pressure. Depending upon the variation in temperature and pressure, the interconversion of states of matter is possible. Okay, one state of matter can convert into another state of matter depending upon the pressure and temperature difference. Now first we'll deal with the effect of change in temperature. Solids to liquid. On increasing the temperature of solid, the kinetic energy of the particle increases. Okay, that is the energy which is possessed by the particle, they increases. They start vibrating. The particles start vibrating with a greater speed and try to overcome the forces of attraction between them. Finally, the solid gets converted into liquid. Okay, as we are heating a solid substance, what is happening? The substances or the particles, they gain a kinetic energy. Due to gaining that kinetic energy, they start vibrating. Due to this vibration, the forces of attraction existing between the two particles, okay, this is being disrupted and there is change in the solid. There is interconversion in state of matter from solid to liquid state. The temperature at which solid melts to form liquid at atmospheric pressure is called as its melting point. The melting point of ice is 273.16 Kelvin. Process of melting, that is solid changing into liquid state, is called as fusion. The process of conversion of liquid to gas, this is called as vaporization. The process of conversion of gas to liquid is called as condensation. The process of conversion of liquid to solid is called as freezing. The process of conversion of solid to gas is called as sublimation. As you can see a figure on the slide, this shows the process of sublimation, that is a solid is directly converting into gaseous state. So what we are doing, we are taking some ammonium chloride, some amount of ammonium chloride in a china dish, and then we are covering it with an inverted funnel. The stem of the funnel is being plugged with some cotton, and then we are heating the ammonium chloride. Okay, solidified ammonium chloride directly converts it into vapor state and then collects around the stem of the funnel. This justifies the process of sublimation. Next is latent heat. Latent heat. It is the hidden heat which is supplied to change the state and overcome the force of attraction. There is no visible change in kinetic energy. So there is no visible change in kinetic energy, so no visible change in temperature is observed. Latent heat is of two types: latent heat of fusion, latent heat of vaporization. Latent heat of fusion is the latent heat of fusion or melting of solid is the quantity of heat in joules required to convert 1 kg of solid to liquid state without any change in temperature. Latent heat of vaporization is it is the quantity of heat in joules required to convert 1 kg of liquid to vapor or gas without any change in temperature. So, in other words, or in simplified terms, we can say that latent heat is nothing but it is a hidden heat which is supplied, okay, which is supplied during the interconversion of states of matter. Just this heat is helping to overcome the force of attraction. There is no visible change in kinetic energy. As there is no change in kinetic energy, so there will be no rise in temperature which is observed. Okay, fusion is what? Solid converting into liquid, and vaporization is liquid converting into solid. As you can see in this graph, okay, y-axis temperature, x-axis heat supplied. First one is latent heat of fusion. The solid is getting converted into liquid state at this point of equilibrium. Temperature remains constant as solid turns into liquid. Then liquid is changing into gaseous state. What is happening at this point of equilibrium? Latent heat of vaporization. That is, the temperature remains constant as liquid turns into gaseous state. So latent heat is nothing but it is just the heat, the hidden heat, which helps in the interconversion of states of matter. But as there is no change in kinetic energy, hence you will not observe any visible change in temperature of the substance, okay, during this interconversion. Effect of pressure. By applying pressure and reducing temperature, gases can be easily liquefied. For example, the best example is solid carbon dioxide. It is called as dry ice because it resembles ice, but carbon dioxide does not exist in liquid form. It sublimes straight from a solid to a gas. It sublimes at minus 78 degrees Celsius, becoming an extremely cold gas. It is often used in theaters or nightclubs to produce clouds. It looks a bit like smoke. Okay, by changing pressure we can very easily liquefy a gas. As you can see in this diagram, solid by melting changing into liquid, liquid by process of evaporation changing into gas, gas by process of condensation changing into liquid, and liquid by process of freezing or solidification changing into solid, solid by process of sublimation changing into gas, gas by process of deposition changing into solid. Now next thing is evaporation. The change of liquid into vapor at any temperature below its boiling point is called as evaporation. Evaporation is a surface phenomena. Means whatever the particles of matter are present on the surface, they are only active in the process of evaporation. It's not a bulk phenomena. As if we compare evaporation with boiling, see, in both the cases temperature should increase, but in evaporation it is only the surface molecules which are active, but in boiling it is like all the molecules which are present in the matter, they are active. Okay. Particles from surface gain enough energy to overcome the force of attraction and changes to vapor state. Factors affecting evaporation: surface area, humidity, wind speed, and temperature. Depending upon these four factors, the rate of evaporation also varies. Okay. Suppose the first one which we take as surface area, so if the surface area is increased, the rate of evaporation increases. For example, while putting clothes for drying up, we spread them out. Okay, if we don't spread the clothes or just uh, ring, keep the clothes in a wrinkled form, what will happen? It will take more or it will take longer time to get dry in comparison to the clothes which we are spreading and drying them out. Next is humidity. Humidity is what? Humidity is the amount of water vapor which is present in the air. The air around us cannot hold more than a definite amount of water at a given temperature. If the amount of water in air is high, the rate of evaporation decreases. Okay, if already the atmosphere is humid, they are containing more amount of water, how is it possible to again evaporate the water into those substances? Okay, in that medium. So that is why when the humidity is more, then the rate of evaporation will decrease. Wind speed. It is a common observation that clothes dry faster on a windy day. With the increase in wind speed, the particles of water vapor move away with the wind, decreasing the amount of water vapor in the surrounding. Okay, if the wind speed is higher, then definitely the rate of evaporation will be faster. The last one is temperature. An increase in temperature, what will happen when we are increasing the temperature? The rate of evaporation will also increase. Why it will increase? Because the kinetic energy of the molecules are going to increase. Due to increase in that kinetic energy, they can very easily change from liquid to gaseous state or vapor state. Cooling effects of evaporation. When a liquid evaporates, the particles of liquid absorb the heat from the surroundings and evaporate. So the surroundings become cool or cold. Example, people sprinkle water on the roof because during evaporation, water absorbs heat and make the surface cool. During hot summer days, these two examples are basically dealing with during hot summer days. During hot summer days, the rooftop is being like sprinkled with water. Why is it sprinkled with water? Because during evaporation, water will absorb the heat and it will make the surface cool. The same thing applies for wearing cotton clothes in summer. When we are wearing cotton clothes in summer, it keeps us cool because the cotton absorbs the heat from our body and make our body cool. One more example is there dealing with this cooling effect is that keeping the water in earthen pots. Why the waters in earthen pots are cooler? Because of the cooling effect of evaporation. Why do we see water droplets on the outer surface of a glass containing ice cold water? That is also due to this phenomenon. Okay. So what we have learned in this chapter, we have learned in this chapter about what is matter, characteristics of particles of matter, different states of matter, properties of solid, liquid and gaseous state. Then we have learned about interconversion of states of matter depending upon temperature and pressure. Then we have learned about latent heat. How is latent heat playing its part during the interconversion of states of matter? And finally, we have learned about evaporation, factors affecting the rate of evaporation and cooling effects of evaporation. Okay, class. So with this, I'll end this session and we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.